potentially maybe selling the planter here. Today is finally the day where we are done using the planter for the year. So the first thing we're gonna get doing is we gotta unload the soybeans that are left in our 2 big hoppers. Now that we have the large CCS tanks up there cleaned out of soybeans, now I'm popping off all of the hoses that come from those large tanks. And these are what send the soybeans from the tanks to each individual row unit. And since we want all the seed out of the planter, I'm gonna take all those off, and then we'll run the blower to start pushing the seed like this onto the ground so the lines are cleaned out. You can see here on the gravel, we got the soybeans all cleaned out of those lines that go up to the CCS tank. So those should all be cleaned out now, which means the next thing we got to get cleaned out here on the planter is all of the row units. So now we have seed out of the tank, seed out of the hoses, but there's still seed in each one of these individual row units, and we don't want that to get moldy over the winter. So now we're gonna have to start taking all these off, dumping that seed into that same box we used before, and then these will all be cleaned out of seed as well. What I have to do to unhook the meter and the row unit from the planter is undo a little cabling, as well as the vacuum hose that sucks the seed to the disc itself. Then dump the seed out of the hopper here into a 5-gallon pail, and there's usually a little bit that doesn't get completely out, so then there's an exit chute here at the bottom. That cleans out all of the seed out of the meter, and then since our planter gets stored in a building that's obviously not heated, so a cold storage building, we now have to take out all the guts and the inside part of the meter. That way those don't get warped or damaged in the off season. So we take off the cover here, pop out the singulator, set that to the side. Then similar, take out the disc, set that to the side. We'll leave that stuff in the shop over the winter, and then take off the knockout wheel. And then just set this stuff back over by the building site. That way I can get it nice and cleaned out with the air compressor. Now that we got all the seed out of the planter, Dad's starting to blow off the meters. And there's one other electrical component that we will take off the planter for this off season, and that is our speed tubes here. So I'm gonna start taking these off all the rows, and then we'll start blowing those out as well. You guys might be wondering, how do you know what steps need to be done to clean your planter and get everything ready for winter? But as you can see, Mom comes out here. She has a list of things that Dad and I need to get done, and that's what they're walking through here on the Rangers. Mom tells Dad and I what we need to get done. She's just walking him through our list of things that we need to get done for the rest of the day on the planter, which I'm totally joking. That's not the case. They're talking about something different. Now back to getting these speed tubes off the planter. All the speed tubes are taken out of the planter. You can see here's what it looks like when it's got the cover on both sides. This one I already popped the cover off of. Gonna blow all that dirt and debris out. You can see here's where the seed gets plucked off the meter and rides around on this nice belt. This is why we're able to drive so fast, and then bring the seed to the ground there. Also gonna take all the belts like this out of the speed tubes as well. That way these don't sit out in the cold over winter. So we're gonna start popping all the belts out and start blowing the speed tubes out. I got all the speed tubes blowing out. Started pulling a little bit of sap here. It's hot. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Dad took the planter down to the big heated shop, and he's starting to blow out all of the vac tubes and all the lines on the planter. And I'm guessing when we want to power wash it, we're going to put all this stuff back on. That way there's no loose electrical connections that aren't hooked up to anything. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of the belts picked up that we took off, And then hopefully by then he's done blowing on the planter. We'll slap these bad boys on and start power washing. All the units are back on. Now I just need to make the short trek back across the yard with the planter so we can get the power washer off and start washing everything down. And words cannot describe to you how happy I am right now that the planting is over, because I think in total we switched the planter from corn to beans, beans to corn about 7 times this spring, just because of all the wet fields, wet conditions. So it's a good feeling knowing this is going to be the last time I'm going to end up washing the planter for the year. Then we'll get to put it away. It's time to wash the planter. It's currently 6:13. My goal is to have this thing washed off within the next hour. So let's get to it. Finished washing. Let's see how I did on time. Started at 6:13, want to be done by 7:13. I'm guessing it's a little bit later than that. It's actually almost exactly 8 o'clock. Almost took an hour and 45 minutes, which is all right. Didn't have much else I needed to get done tonight. Now I'm just gonna fold this up, put it away in the shop, pick things back up tomorrow, hopefully get the planter unhooked from the tractor, start washing on that. We'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning. Today's another beautiful day at the farm. First thing we're doing today, we got to get the planter parked away in one of our cold storage sheds. So right now, Dad's moving all of our seed totes tightly and compactly against this wall. That way we can hopefully squeeze in a few more that we don't have along that wall, so we can get the planter nice and parked in right along those row of boxes. While he's working on moving the boxes, I'm going to start sweeping a little bit of the concrete here where we're going to be parking the planter. To tell you guys the truth, last night when we went in the house for supper, we were talking about potentially maybe selling the planter here. That way we don't have any more ambitions of wanting to plant this spring, because there's a potential it's gonna rain here in the next couple days. Hard, heavy rain, potentially with some hail. And the only way to stop a farmer from wanting to keep planting, especially in a year like this, is to not have a planter. We decided we're gonna keep the planter. So we just got rid of all the rest of the seed for the year. So no matter what happens from here on out, we're done planting, so now we got to get ready to park the planter away and buried in one of the sheds. Now I shouldn't say this because I'll probably end up jinxing myself, but normally when we park the planter over in that other shed, we don't use our 8R340, we use the 8285R, because as you can tell, we don't have front duals on this tractor, so it makes it a little bit easier to back things in. But Dad's pretty adamant on wanting to try the 8R340. In my opinion, backing equipment into the shed like this is one of the hardest things there is to do when running equipment, because when you're looking back here, it looks like it's a well-lit area, but when you're in the cab of the tractor, it just looks like you're backing into a black hole. And that's why we usually have 2 people backing equipment in like this, because we don't want to put a hole in the wall. I gotta admit, I'm a little surprised we were able to get the planter inside here without taking a big chink out of the door frame with the 8R340. And you might think I'm a little bit sad that the planter's unhooked from the tractor, since planting's my favorite job on the farm. But planting in 4 separate months this year, April, May, June, and July, I'm not sad at all. This planter could sit here till next spring. Hopefully by then my spirits are lifted and I'm excited to plant again, but for the time being, I'm definitely glad that we are done planting. Now I noticed on the planter when I washed it off, I didn't think about it again till now, but you see that globe right there? That runs the GPS on the planter. But since we're done with the planter, I need that globe right there, which is about worth $3,000, which is why I don't have another one. I need that one over on the combine, so I'm gonna take that one off up here. We'll go slap that on the combine. Hold that thought. Dad's just starting to back up here with the semi, so I'm gonna help him get that backed into the shed now. If you're wondering why I'm not the person behind the seat of the cab backing this equipment into the shed, let me just say, I'm better at driving this stuff forward than I am backwards. Dad can get it in a lot straighter, so I just let him do it. I told you guys wrong. This globe from the planter actually needs to go on this 8R340 to run the grain cart. The one up there, which is what I'm gonna call the smarter globe, that one has higher accuracy. That one needs to go on the combine. So I'm actually gonna flip this one onto this tractor, take that one off, bring that to the combine. Here's the globe that I need to put on the combine here behind me. Kind of a crazy story about these globes. During 2020 and 2021, when there was that chip shortage there, they couldn't make any more globes fast enough, so some of those globes actually sold for like $8,000. And obviously the chip shortage has now been resolved, so they're only worth about $2,000 or $3,000. So I actually thought about trying to sell one of ours and using no GPS on one of the four-wheel drives in the spring. But the reality is we use it and need it kind of for mapping, so we keep track of how deep we're going, how fast, all the passes we make out in the fields. So we didn't end up selling them, but that's why we got 3. Now let's go slap this one on the combine. Well, this is officially the first combine ride of the year for you guys. And last year, one thing I forgot was to calibrate the globe before we started in season, because every time you switch the globes in between tractors, you need to recalibrate them. So now the first thing I'm gonna do this year is calibrate the globe here on the combine. So we'll start getting things ready inside here. Well, it's noticing I need to calibrate, which is good. Let's go back to that. Here we are. Set up. RTK, calibration. Park the vehicle on a flat surface, mark through the fixed axle. Now that I got the front axle fixed there on the combine, I'm gonna turn it around. The goal is to get that to line up exactly in the same spot on the other side to calibrate the globe. Now that I have it calibrated, I'm bringing the combine down to the shop where the combine's basically gonna be residing from now until the end of harvest. Look how much higher I sit up in the combine versus the 340. You can see the whole roof right there. Now that I got the combine put away inside the shop here, remember when I was mentioning that 8R340 that I need to get cleaned up for Mom for this fall? I'm gonna pull that in right beside the combine here. We'll start cleaning on the inside of that. We've all seen those video clips where people come up to something dirty and snap their fingers and instantly it gets cleaned. So I thought, you know, this tractor ain't that fun to clean. Why not give that a shot? I got the inside of Mom's tractor for this fall all cleaned out, so I thought I should give you guys a little tour of what it looks like now on the inside. As you walk in, you notice I got all the mud off the carpet, all the dust and debris off the inside of the windows. Still got to power wash the outside. Wiped off the seat, cleaned out the fridge, got some paper towels, window cleaner, hand wipes in here for this fall. Still got to set up the grain cart scale head inside here, but overall, looking clean. And with that, that's gonna do it for today's video of High Tech Farmer. Thanks so much for watching. See ya in the next one.